I have a question for you, and I invite you to simply say yes or no. Don't give me a lot of, well, maybe this or that. Is there enough money in the world right now for everybody listening to this podcast to receive $1 million this year? Yes or no? Would you be comfortable if $1 million was put in your bank account today? Yes or no? And would you be able to manage an influx of money? Yes or no? For those that said yes to all three, well, why don't you have that if that's what you desire? Welcome to Possibilities. I'm peak performance coach, former psychotherapist Hina Khan, and I help my clients create a life they love through ease, joy, and fun. We are not about the hard, the struggle, or the grind. Okay, maybe you have a desire to make $1 million. And I know for me, when it felt really hard was when I was focused on getting $1 million or hitting $1 million of revenue in my business. But then things became really easy. And it actually happened when I shifted that. What I shifted it to was this idea about being. So I wasn't so concerned about getting, but being. And that's when everything became easy. And here's what I want you to know. Being is the gateway to all things, including wealth and prosperity. This is the foundation of the work that I do with my clients. It is all about being, and that is because your doing comes from your being. All the actions that you take are going to come from who you are being. If we want permanent change, that's what we've got to address. This is the root cause. Okay, another quick question for you. I have lots of questions today. How would you feel if your school-aged children were running around with kids that skipped school, drank, and did drugs? Would that worry you? Yeah, I can pretty much hear you saying, yep, that would worry me. And why? Why would that worry you? Well, it would worry us because we don't want those children or that group to influence our child. And we know that if they spend a lot of time with that group, they will be influenced, and that group's predominant habits will rub off on our child. And we won't see it right away. It won't be overnight. Slowly, even in the language, how they speak to us will start to change. Can I be honest with you? Some of you are in circles that are keeping you broke. You get together with these people and all they do is complain. It's the economy, it's the markets, it's this and that, it's the government. And they are negative and critical. And when you leave their company, you actually feel drained, but you don't even know that you're drained because this is normal for you. I got to tell you, I am not available for that anymore. And hallelujah, I will leave a conversation mid-sentence. You could be talking mid-sentence. I am out of there because I think about what they say in A Course in Miracles. I could choose peace instead of this. And I got to tell you, I choose peace. I would rather be alone in silence in my own thoughts than around people who are complaining all the time. Give me silence. Give me my own thoughts that I can choose rather than the chatter of low-level conversation that leaves me feeling exhausted and miserable. You know, this is what I've learned. People who have buried their dreams are so happy to give you a shovel. They will break ground for you. They are so happy to help you bury your own dreams. So we're going to bring it back to wealth. When I decided that I wanted to create wealth, when I decided, and it was a decision, like I made the decision, I wanted to hit $1 million. I wanted to hit $1 million. I had no idea how I was going to do it, but I did know that I needed a community. I needed to be around people where I could talk about money, where I didn't feel ashamed for wanting things, where I was not judged because it was normal. They were having these conversations. And where it was so normal that people would think, well, of course you would want it. Why wouldn't you want it? So think of how it could change your life and your friends, family, community. Think about all the things that would open up if you made the decision that you did want to hit 1 million, that you did want to create wealth, as opposed to being in circles where you hear things like, all you care about is money. There are more important things in the world. Not everything is about money. There's so much judgment around wanting it that we feel ashamed that we do. So I had to put myself in a place where those conversations were happening, and not only where it was happening, but where it was normal. So I actually want to acknowledge you today for listening to this podcast, or maybe you're watching this on YouTube, because you have done that. This is exactly how I started. I didn't have these friends. I listened to content like this, even so I could kind of acclimatize to these kinds of conversations. Many of the conversations around wealth have been from the perspective of the masculine. And when I'm referring to the masculine and feminine, I'm referring to energy. So I'm not talking about gender or sex. So we all have masculine and feminine energy, and they're both important and beautiful. So when I say that the conversation has been from the viewpoint of the masculine, what I mean is this habit of thought. And what's been created is that to create wealth, you must hustle, grind, struggle. It's got to be really, really hard. And with that comes sacrifice. So that narrative has kept wealth away from me and from many people, and especially women, because the idea of sacrificing family especially hits on profound guilt. It also set up this busy model where we celebrated busyness. The workaholic is an aholic that was not seen as negative. It was a badge of honor. So the problem with this model is that it is not sustainable. You burn out, you go on a vacation, and then you repeat. So what we see now is the feminine energy rising. So when I talk about getting into the conversations where wealth was happening, it was also around this way, because I wanted to create, and I knew there had to be a way to create wealth that was easy, that was joyful, that was fun. So I had to go where those conversations were happening, because I wanted to work in a different way. I wanted to be present for my family and my friends. And you know what? There's a lot of men that want this too, that want to embody this kind of energy because they want to redefine fatherhood and leadership. So they want to connect to a different kind of energy. I promise you that if you desire to create 1 million this year, you absolutely can. And what I would suggest is doing it in a different way, though. Do it through ease, joy, and fun. And to do that, you will have to connect to your higher faculties. I always say that the work that I do is spirituality meets peak performance. So if you're not into spirituality, I would just stop right now, because this will really kind of get on your nerves. But the being is the feminine and the doing is the masculine. And we want to bring that into harmony. So let's start with being, because that's where it all starts. We want to create who you would need to be and have 1 million. What we want to do is figure out the judgments that are slowing you down, standing in your way, or stopping you from creating wealth. So just think of some judgments that you have. I'll give you some to get you started. It would be overwhelming. I would lose friends. I couldn't manage it. I'm not worthy of it. Money is not spiritual. I would be a sellout. Money will complicate my life. These beliefs. So now I want you to think, remember, where does our doing come from? It comes from our being. So these beliefs have actions that are associated with it. And that could look like not invoicing on time, holding on to checks, not depositing your e-transfers, because you have an unconscious commitment to feeling poor. And this is activating a poverty mindset. So this is where you're going to need your pen and paper. You probably have a list of judgments, and now we want to flip them. So write out all of your judgments, and you can pause this to do that. Okay, so you've got your judgments. We want to flip it to new truths. So please write this sentence. I forgive myself for judging myself as X. For my new truth is. So here's what it could look like. I forgive myself for judging myself as not being worthy of wealth. For my new truth is abundance is my birthright. I forgive myself for judging myself as being a sellout for creating wealth. For my new truth is I am uplifting the industry. So you get the idea. So this is exactly what I want you to do right now, is go through each one of your judgments and create a new truth. So again, great time to pause and do that work. So now you have done that work and you've got this list of new truths. I want you to, on a fresh piece of paper, only write out the new truths. And I want you to write them as either I have or I am statements. So for example, I am that abundance is my birthright. I am uplifting my industry, and so on and so on. Okay, so do you know what you've just done? Take a look at that list. That is your to-do/to-be list. You have now created your $1 million self. This is who you need to be. As Steve Hardison, my coach, says, your life that you desire is underneath your judgments. Now that we have cleared that, you want to meet the world from that place. Think of it like a lens, like you've literally put on glasses that are a match to that. And that's how you see everything. So now you're seeing through the lens of abundance is my birthright. Okay, so what does that mean? That means that you see somebody, let's say on social media, you see them and they have something. Instead of thinking a negative thought and judging them, you're thinking, that is for me also. They're showing what is possible for me. You are changing your reality. You are literally changing your reality. And you're going to have opportunities come to you that you will now notice. Those opportunities were there, but you weren't a match to it. You weren't seeing it through the lens that you had on. You will see it now. You'll have ideas. Today, this morning, I shared an idea with my team and I was like, this is $1 million idea. This is what is going to happen. And then you will start to receive the million that is already here. And you're doing the masculine, from the being, the feminine. And it's all lined up and it is fun. And you are creating through ease, joy, and fun. Will you let me know how it goes? I'm dying to know what came up for you. And as you know, I so appreciate if you download, rate, review, subscribe, do all the things. And I'll see you here next time.